Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Roxanne with another of our video calls. We are catching up with everybody while we're all stuck in lockdown. I'm very, very pleased to say that two of the guys from the Ghost Insider here. They've got Vigil and Jim on the line. How are you guys?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man.
Good to see you. Yeah, Vigil, I was just admiring your very impressive Twitch setup you got behind me. Talk me through this very Swish home studio that's putting mine to shame right now.
I mean, yeah, I got a like I was saying before, I do stream on Twitch. I got a pretty professional setup. I got a green screen behind me. Got a bunch of good lighting. I got a really nice microphone. The best headphones there is. So I'm kind of good to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you to send me a full list.
2014 MacBook here, so
that's good. That's making me feel a little bit better. This is okay with my glamorous bookshelf and TV set up behind me. It's all good now. How are you guys kind of getting on generally in lockdown? We've kind of been starting all these off by just seeing, I hope you're both keeping safe and well and kind of making the best of the situation. Jim, why don't we start with you? How's your lockdown routine looking these days?
It's not much different than how the summer is in Las Vegas anyway. We stay inside. It's hot all the time, and you watch a lot of Netflix and drink a lot of water. So, yeah, it's been all right. Like Vigil lives about 10 minutes up the street from me. So in normal times, we go to get coffee together once a week, and the coffee shop is closed. So I think that's one of the biggest differences is even though I don't do a lot of stuff outside the house, the couple of social interactions I have each week have been taken away. And I've definitely started to hit the kind of stir crazy point of this whole adventure.
Yeah, I can imagine. I hadn't quite realized you guys are that close together in terms of where you live. That's got to be kind of surreal being so close yet so far away.
Yeah, I mean, Jim moved to Vegas, a while ago, and then I moved 2 years ago, and then Zach moved a year ago, and we all live within 10 minutes of each other. Literally could get on the highway and go see him right now, but Corona, so can't. But he's right there.
Yeah, I guess the minute it gets lifted, you could do some safe social distanced hellos and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'll go take our dogs to the dog park and
exactly
run around.
Yeah, figure out a way to do a socially distant band practice. That'll work very nicely. It's all coming together. Well, let's kind of dive in a little bit. I want to start off with what I guess is kind of a big question. The album's been announced. It's imminent. It's coming soon. We've heard some little tasters already. Big question to begin with. What do you want the fans to take away from their first listen of this record?
First listen?
First listen. I want them to put it on. What do you hope that they take away from that first listen to the record?
I hope that people do give it a real good, old school first listen, find the lyrics and kind of read along and take, 42 minutes or whatever it is and immerse themselves in the record the first time. Because I think they're going to take more away from it that way. I think each of the songs is really incredible and these are some of the best things we've ever written, but I think the album will take you on a journey through what the last 4 years was like for us, kind of the highs, the lows, the big triumphs and all that stuff. And I think if you thought you had teary eyes during Aftermath, the first time you saw it, I think when you listen to the 10 tracks before it and then you land on Aftermath, that song carries so much more weight when it's in context, with all these other pieces around it. So I hope people give it that good old fashioned thing we did way back in the early 2000s thing of getting excited and listening to the record, reading the lyrics and just, not throwing it on Spotify in the background and missing out on it, but really taking time to dive into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we worked, the band and the producers, we all worked so hard on making the record just really, really have the emotion and everything that we had from start to finish, from day one of recovery, or I mean, even prior to that, the accident to, the first show back on stage. Those years, were, not the best all the time. Sometimes they were awesome. Sometimes they were terrible, and so it really does just run the gamut of emotions. And I think it's such a big record for us, as individuals, but also as a band. I think it's a really a stamp on who we are now and what we are going to be in the future.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, and it's something that's come up in kind of quotes you've done already, and I think you mentioned the phrase just a second ago there as well, Jim. It is a journey. It's about the journey that you guys have gone through, more than it just being about the obvious element there, but like actually the journey rebuilding and really, like you say, what's happened over the last few years for you guys as a band in general. I wonder when you're getting in the studio, how is it actually reflecting on all the time that's passed, really? Because it's inevitable. Obviously, you mentioned Aftermath and stuff. It's inevitable that the accent's going to play a big part in influencing any new material. But how was it actually reflecting on who you've become as people since then?
I think a lot of the ideas that Vigil ended up choosing to write songs about are kind of born out of conversations that we had, like driving to get coffee and things like that. And some of the stuff that we were going through, like you said, he moved here 2 years ago. He had just had like a knee surgery still, and he was frustrated a lot. And I could tell, like, as he started writing lyrics, that he was torn between like the reputation the band has for like always being sort of like positive and uplifting, and our lives had not felt like positive and uplifting all the time. So we had to make a conscious decision to write songs. Now that you've heard it, like a song like Pressure Point, that is really like angry. There's no turn at the end of the song of like forgiveness or any of that stuff. Like, we allowed certain songs to just explore emotions that we haven't really as a band ever gotten into before. And I think that really pushed Vigil to get into like the nitty gritty of that journey of saying like, how did it feel like those months that you were laid up in bed, uncertain about like whether insurance was going to pay for your next surgery, like where your next paycheck was going to come from, and those things. And like, those aren't topics that are standard The Ghost Inside things. So it would have felt like it wasn't authentic if we hadn't included those parts of the journey in the songs as we put the record together.
Yeah, it definitely felt like you haven't shied away from any of the more difficult elements there. Vigil, talk to me about Pressure Point, actually, now that we mentioned that, because like we say, it's a punishing track. It's big, it's heavy, and it's raw. I mean, talk to me about putting together that song in particular.
Yeah, we well, I mean, when we were all coming up with topics for songs of what to write about, there was this feeling of like just people wanting to be involved that didn't belong, like people wanted to like just insert themselves into the situation, into what we were doing and what we were going through. And it's like, they have no reference, they have no frame of mind, and they're there to make themselves feel better, feel like they're a part of it. And really they're just making everything worse. And that was a route that we had never explored before. And we kind of went down it. And like Jim was saying, like there were things I was like, I don't know if this is what I should be doing. Like, this is kind of weird to write about. Like, this is weird to say, like the kind of things that we said. And we were lucky to have the producers on board with us who wouldn't let us settle for anything other than the best. And we really needed to explore every avenue of the entirety of everything from like I said before, the start to finish. And that was definitely a part of it. And it was hard it took a little convincing, for everyone to be like, no, this is cool. Like, this is part of it. Like go with this. And, yeah, it ended up coming out really good. And, I think a lot of people can relate to that. We've always tried to write songs that are specific enough to us to where we kind of know what we've been through, what we've gone through, but outwardly can also apply to everyone, in a broad sense. And kind of, we've always tried to keep that. And I didn't want to lose that. So a song like Pressure Point, it's like everybody knows that kind of person, in their life who gets involved with people's, like kind of steal their thunder, whether it be, good thunder, bad thunder. They're there and they kind of like just like leech off it. They kind of suck off it, and they kind of, and you're like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? And everyone has that feeling. And we definitely experienced it within the crash. So we had to, we just wrote about it. And then if it didn't come out the way it came out, I wouldn't have been on board, but it came out so direct and so good and so to the point that I was like, yeah, okay, this needs to be a song for sure. For sure.
Definitely made a big impact, man. When people heard it, you just go, "Oh yeah, there it is, right there." I mean, live. That when eventually we get back to live shows, that will be a very, very big moment, I'm sure, in any future live plans. You mentioned working with producers and stuff. That we actually already did one of these with Jeremy recently, and he was just talking really about, very briefly when we mentioned you guys, just about what an honor it was for him to even be asked. He felt very privileged to kind of be in the room with you guys. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about what it was like working with Jeremy on this?
I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of Day to Remember, but they write some pretty catchy stuff. So
yeah, I think they'll go far, those guys.
Yeah. I think they'll do okay. No, but I mean, having him on board, he just adds such an element to the songs that we're not capable of just like thinking that way. Like he has such a like a songwriter mentality, like this thing. I don't even know how to put it, but it's just like he hears a part and he's like, "Oh, I'm hearing this," and he'll just like kind of go with it, and he just like works out in his head, and it's just like, this is amazing, and this is so good and so catchy. Like, and he's just such a good part of it, and I think that I mean we started with Get What You Give with him, and we got him on board for Dear Youth, and we learned a lot in those few years, and I think that this was like such an important thing for us, and we wanted to make sure we had him on board. I think that was, we had a couple like ways to go about it, but I think we were all pretty on board with being like, yeah, we definitely want Jeremy to be a part of this.
Yeah, and I guess another key collaborator was, of course, Will as well, who's been in the studio. Seems like such a great collaborative relationship you guys have. Jim, talk to me a little bit about working with Will directly too.
Will is one of those guys, like he's done records for Straight from the Path, Counterparts, he does Fit for an Autopsy, and every time Will touches something, it comes out 10 times better than what you expected. So I think one of the things that really drew us to Will in the first place was just how sonically big his records sound. Like when you put a Will Putney record in, it feels like you're getting kicked in the chest by like the guitar tones. Like he just has like a way of bringing out the real sound of a band and getting it onto a record. And that's something that we felt like we had yet to accomplish. Like Dear Youth has a bunch of good songs on it, but I don't love the way it sounds. And kind of the same with Get What You Give, where like each of those was kind of like exploring like a way that we could sound, but none of them really felt like how the Ghost Inside sounds live. None of them captured that energy and like brought it to your car stereo. So that was what drew us to Will initially, was just his ability. Like, I guess that's even more on the engineering side. And then, as far as like his contributions as a producer, like I think he totally blew our expectations out of the water. The first day in the studio with him and Jeremy, we kind of played through every demo that the band has. And more often than not, he would say something like, "I understand what you're trying to do here, but it sucks. So let's start over with the idea and let's actually do it right this time."
Yeah.
So that idea of just not settling for anything ever, musically, lyrically, any of that, was really sort of like the kick in the butt that we needed to make a great record. Because we had been out of the game for so long. I think not that we would have settled, but just that we weren't as razor sharp at producing a record as Will is. Like Will takes no days off, and he is the best in the game right now. So to have someone like that come into like our situation was like the perfect mix of like, we had all this raw stuff, and Will was like this perfect cutting edge that refined it and made absolutely the best record possible.
Wow. The thing about Will too is he just gets it. He just knows what it is, what we're after, and like he knows what the endpoint needs to be without us saying what the endpoint needs to be. Like he's like, we need to take this and get it to here, and he just works it out. And he's such a good. He's one of the best engineers out there, if not the best, especially in our genre. But the production side was something that we didn't. At least I didn't know how much he actually produced records, but like he did so much on this record. He took ideas, he took little riffs, and he made them into like things. And he said, "What if we do it this way, or what if we play it like this, or da 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 da?" And like, and lyrically, he like did so much. He's like, if you know, we were struggling about an idea, like how to get there, he would just be like, let's go from here straight to this. And something in the past, he'd be like, that feels weird. Like, I don't know if I'd ever do that in the past, but you know, Will just makes it work, man. And he's so incredibly talented. Him and Jeremy both, like, man, like this record is really good. And I think it's actually, I know it's our best record, like bar none. Like, you know, we've done records in the past where we, after it, we're like, okay, this song's good, but I don't think it'll ever be a live song. But like this time we left the studio with like, holy crap, how are we going to decide what to play live? All of these songs are amazing. Like every single one of them is good.
That's the dream scenario, being able to...
It really is, dude. It really is.
Struggling to put together a set list. That's what you dream of as a band. That's what you absolutely want. And on that note, I suppose, you know, obviously everyone's live plans are kind of up in the air. It's been something we've talked to everyone about. Of course, that's the nature of the world we live in right now. But I want to kind of throw back to that LA show and kind of throw back to last year, because what a celebratory night that seemed to be, and just what an incredible reaction. You know, what are your reflections on that now that we're a few kind of months down the line from it? What are your reflections on that first big show back?
I really feel like the whole thing was mission accomplished. The show, like for me personally, was more about Vigil's mom, Andrew's parents, Zach's mom, you know, like our managers, like our fans and people like that getting another chance to see the band be on stage. What happened to us, like, came in the middle of like so much stuff rolling, so much stuff happening. And it was such an abrupt and unexpected ending to what we were doing that it felt like it left so much like to still be done. And, you know, like Andrew's parents moved him back into their house. Like his dad built a little bedroom in their dining room, and he lived at their house for like 2 years, learning how to walk, learning how to like do all the stuff to take care of himself. You know, Vigil's mom spent a month in the hospital by his side, like not sure if he was going to remember his name and his birthday and how to play Hearthstone when he actually woke up. And, you know, like those people around us went through so much in this journey as well. And they often are like the unspoken, like, or like the like heroes behind the scenes in this whole thing. And that whole night was as much about celebrating those people as it was about us getting on stage and playing, you know, the same old songs we've played, you know, 500 times already. It was about playing those songs for those people that had done so much for us, that had sacrificed so much to get us back to that point. And when I look back at it now, I feel like we put such a sense of closure and completion on that part of our lives. We stamped it with that night, you know, like Andrew's parents don't have to worry about, is he ever going to play drums again? Like he went and played drums for 8,000 people. Like he's okay. Like it came full circle. And in that way, like that night was a total success.
I think as selfish and as corny as this sounds, like, to me, it didn't matter if there was 8 people there, 8,000 people, or 80,000 people. Like, what meant the most to me was that the band, the career of the band, didn't end in, you know, a sports bar in Texas. And not that there's anything wrong with where, you know, where we played in Texas or anything like that, but it's like, you don't think a career of 10 plus years is just all of a sudden, boom, going to stop, you know, at a random place that's not your hometown. You know, like, who thinks that that's going to be a thing, you know, like no one knows that. So like for me, it was just being able to be on stage and play the songs and look around and see, like, you know, Jim having a blast, a smile on his face, singing along, looking back at Andrew, him playing with one leg, you know, Chris just looking over at his kid, and, you know, his kid is there watching him play guitar, you know, like that's little things like that are so huge. And, you know, Zach and looking over and seeing his mom just like light up, you know, like that's the kind of stuff to me that made that night so important, was just that we got a chance to at least no matter what, end our career, if that was the end, put the end of our career right there, and not, you know, in a random place in Texas. You know, that's not what we wanted for ourselves ever. It's not what any band ever thinks is going to be their last thing, you know. So it was just getting back to it and being able to experience those emotions again with the 4 other guys.
Yeah, I mean, the phrase mission accomplished, you use there, Jib, is so appropriate, isn't it? Because, yeah, it did feel like, regardless of anything else, regardless if you did go and do more new music, and thank God you did, but like, regardless of anything, that there was unfinished business there for you guys. And it certainly felt like a lovely moment there. And I'll leave you with this, because I guess that is my final question to you is, what else is there? Is there more unfinished business? You've made a record that, by your own admission, is you guys think is the best you've ever done. It's clearly getting a great fan reaction for the little bits I've heard already. My God, that single's huge. Live show was so celebratory. I mean, what are the aims now for this next era of the band? What do you guys want to be achieving next?
I think we just want to enjoy it. We were such a busy working band in the past that we really did start to take things for granted. You know, like, I know, like, one of the last times we went to Europe, like, we never left the bus. We never did any tourism. We went to, like, all the same kebab shops we'd already been to. We shopped at the same Primarks, but we never kind of did anything because we just always thought, like, we'll be right back. Like, we're going to be back to Germany in, you know, April of next year or whatever. And now we live without that certainty, you know, like, every show could be our last. And I think we have a much greater appreciation for that stuff. And we've been freed from, like, the rat race of the music industry. Mm-hmm. So we only have to do things that we think are going to be awesome at times that we think are going to be awesome. And that's really liberating and freeing. So for us, you know, like, when the shows start to happen again, we're going to go play the heck out of them and play some of these new songs. But if the only shows we ever play are those 3 shows next summer or whenever, then, you know, so be it. Like, we're so lucky and we've accomplished so much, and, like, our legacy is more than complete now. So everything we do from here on out is a bonus. Like, we're living on bonus time.
Yeah, it's kind of, the accident was kind of a double-edged sword, because it hinders a lot of what we're able to do and our, you know, who we are, but it also gave us this kind of clarity that we never had in the past. You know, we're able to go through and experience these things and be excited and have that sense of, like, this was almost not a thing. This almost didn't happen, you know, like, a couple of seconds one way or the other, and this band is just, that's it. There's no more band, you know, like, and so it just gives us a newfound respect for what we get to do, you know, like, you know, I was saying this before, but it's like, you know, before I would do what I could to, like, get out of doing, like, interviews like this and just be like, oh, I don't want to do this. But, like, now it's like, I jump at the chance to be able to do band stuff again, you know, like, and it's like, it wasn't like that in the past, you know, like, so I don't know. It's good. And I'm very excited for the future of the band, whatever it entails, whether it's, you know, 3 more shows or 3,000 more shows. Like, the fact that we get to do it again at all is amazing, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
It's not going to be 3,000.
It's not going to be 3,000. Well, I mean,
not with that attitude, but I mean, come on.
Can you imagine us being 60 and just going up there screaming, dude?
If the crowd's there, man, I want to see it. That's all I want to see. If it's still feasible, let's do it, man. When you're 60, getting up there, let's have it. That's what we all want. That's the tour we want to see now. Guys, it's a real pleasure. Best of luck with all the new music and everything. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you guys in the UK whenever that may happen. You know,
yeah, no kidding.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, but good to chat to you guys. All right.
Hey, man.
Sweet, thanks, man.